Welcome back to Donghua Recapped. In today's video I will be continuing my recap on King of Fighters Destiny. In the last episode, the King of Fighters tournament began and the semi-finalists were set. Whilst Geese became aware of Angelina's recent interactions with Terry and told him to poison him. However, she stopped him from drinking the poison at the last second. Terry was led into a trap to save Angelina, and then came face to face with Geese, fighting him but being outclassed as Geese throws one final devastating strike. Angelina jumps in the way, enduring the blow instead of Terry. He cradles her, finally realizing that she was his childhood friend, and remembering all the moments they experienced together. She sadly dies in his arms, causing him to let out a horrific scream. A party begins during the tournament, and Ralph stops Kyo, giving him a device and telling him to wait for the right moment. Geese has no sympathy for Angelina's death, and tries to strike again, but Joe blocks it, and Andy attacks him. They continue to battle him, but Geese is still a level above and even dodges their special attacks, using his own special move to badly hurt Andy. Just as Geese mocks him, there is an explosion from one of the Geese tower floors, so Geese goes to strike them again, but Terry defends them, and is powerful enough to endure his enemy's strength. His grief leads to a much closer fight where he hurts Geese, and then generates an ultimate technique as Geese summons his Raging Storm technique, and Terry is able to get the upper hand as he hits him with a brutal blow, knocking him off of the tower where he falls to his death. They ask if it's all over now since Terry got his revenge, but Heiderin appears and a helicopter flies towards them. In the ship where the semi-finals will be taking place, everyone is drinking and eating in the dining hall. Yuri looks puzzled at all of the food choices, and then Benny approaches her and says he recognizes her from the airport, complimenting her on her progress in the tournament as he tries to impress her. However, Robert comes and offers her food, calling Benny weird, which starts an argument between them. Kyo looks on disappointedly, and then gives a nod of agreement to Chen. On the helicopter, Heiderin talks about a guy called Rugal who is a relentless fighter as well as the lead of a huge company. And he says that Rugal is pulling the strings behind the tournament. The black crystals have special powers but are also dangerous and lead to death, and are planned to be put into the fighters, and Heiderin suggests that there may be traps on the ship. We see a lady feeding Rugal food in his office, where he has cameras of the ship set up. On the ship, everything is still normal as Benny and Robert continue arguing, whilst Yuri talks to Rio, who knocks some plates down. Kim teaches Choi and Chan about training, and then Kyo leaves the hall, followed by Chen, Si, and Athena. Armed guards run down the hall, as the crystal arises from the snake statue, and Kyo tells Chen that he doesn't have a good feeling, so they use Athena's psycho power, but Si disturbs her. She tries again and is horrified by a snake that appears, and they discern that Orochi is blocking her power. Rio and Daimon tell Benny and Robert to knock it off and take them away. Smoke comes through the vents which sends Benny and Daimon unconscious, followed by everyone else in the hall except for Rio, who tries to escape but discovers that all the doors are blocked off. One of the doors open, but he is bombarded with even more smoke and gets knocked out. The menacing guards enter the room, walking among all the bodies and giving a thumbs up, signaling that everything is ready. Kyo and Chin's team walk down the path, discovering that the hall is empty. They agree to split up, but they're soon locked inside of a mysterious room where Choi menacingly approaches them, as well as Chang and Kim, who has been taken over by the power of Orochi. Kyo walks into a room where he finds Benny, but Daimon suddenly attacks him, and Benny does the same. He is trapped in there with both of them, and they don't recognize who he is because they have been overtaken by evil. Daimon manages to throw him, so Kyo has to fight back, using his powers to fend them off. He realizes that the same thing that happened to the American sports team has happened to them, and concludes that it is the effects of the black crystals. He notices a vent and sets it ablaze, releasing the black crystals' contents and freeing them from their constraints, but they're soon knocked out. Gears above the room start moving, causing the ship to become smaller. Heiderin's helicopter approaches the ship. Terry and his team prepare to jump off and use a rope to go down to get to the ship. Athena uses her psycho power to sense that Kim and his team are trapped under the power of Orochi, and then a menacing bull appears which chases her into a creature with a horrifying mouth. Choi goes to attack her but C stops him, and they're stopped in their tracks as Chin uses his fire power. Athena talks about what she saw, saying that their consciousness is sealed beneath the snake statue. Kim goes on the offensive so Chin fights back, and he tells Athena to build up her psycho power. Whilst Chin is fighting, C promises to protect Athena, and then tries to summon his power but it doesn't work, leaving an opening for Choi to slice Athena, which enrages C. Chan also attacks Chin so they group back up again, and Athena continues to build her power. Elsewhere on the ship, Daimon wakes up and asks what is wrong with Benny. He doesn't remember anything. Kyo wakes Benny up by telling him his hair is messed up, and he also asks what is going on, and starts ranting about the lack of luxury. Kyo tells him to calm down and to help them find a way out. He tries to use his power to escape but it's no use, and hitting the walls doesn't work either. Suddenly the walls start caving and so Daimon holds them in place, as Kyo and Benny climb up to the hole in the ceiling, and he also makes it up there. They crawl through the vent system, and Kyo starts mocking Benny for being careless, which causes an argument. Ruble speaks to Billy on his screen, and he tells him that Terry killed Geese, as well as informs him about Heiderin, who is now also on board the ship. Ruble commands Billy to kill them like they killed Geese, and then drinks wine, revealing his red eye as he looks at the screens where we see Rio and Robert are also locked inside of a room. Terry and his team walk around the ship, and Andy runs after seeing Mai. Heiderin tells his team there's no need to follow Terry's team. As they walk, a laser trap is engaged. Andy sees Mai running in the distance and goes to run after her, and when they try to follow, the path is blocked off again, but then even more paths are revealed so they agree to stay together. The ship continues to move around, and Andy keeps on chasing Mai, who he is almost caught up with. However, he comes to a stop when he loses her, but she then suddenly approaches him and attacks. Terry sees Andy running around so he tries to catch up with him, and Joe tries to beat the closing door but the path is once again cut off. He is attacked by Yuri, who has also been corrupted, and she uses her immense power moves to viciously strike him, eventually knocking him down where he remembers what Heiderin said about the black crystals. Terry continues to chase Andy around, but the complex maze is relentlessly tough to beat, as he finds himself running in endless circles until he finds a screen that shows Andy and Mai fighting. All the cubes turn to this image of Andy being defeated, so Terry starts punching the walls in anger, unbeknownst to Rachel, who is standing behind him, and strikes. Chan beats C up whilst Chin struggles to fight Kim and Choi, leading to Kim getting a spiteful hold of him, and as Chan goes to strike Athena, C bravely saves her, which leaves her as the last one standing on her team. We hear about Rachel's backstory as she attacks someone in an alleyway and leaves them unconscious, leaving a king card there to mark her victim. She had a little brother who complained that he wanted to go home since he was in the hospital awaiting surgery. Rachel struggled to pay for the surgery though because of the huge medical costs, so she confronted her boss about when she would be being paid, and he said that when she has completed her final task, he will pay her all at once. His task was to kill Rio. Yuri was tied up to a chair and locked inside of a room. However, Rio came to rescue her. To be able to take her, he had to first defeat Rachel, and so a fight began where she was far better than Rio expected, and in the midst of it she realizes the similarities between her trying to pay for her brother's surgery and Rio trying to save Yuri. Suddenly Rio hit her with a huge strike, and before he could finish the job, she admitted defeat, so he held back on his last attack. Rachel asked why Rio wouldn't kill her, and he briefly explained that she is different to the others before walking off with Yuri. As we go back to present time, we see that Athena has built up such a strong power bubble that she is able to defeat Kim's team with ease as she strikes them with a huge attack. Rio and Robert are protecting the snake statue and have also been overtaken by Orochi. Whilst crawling through the vent system, Kyo hears Athena faintly calling out to him in his mind, and they communicate as they determine that they must destroy the black crystals to save the fighters. She says that she senses a very dark spiritual energy near him, so they proceed with caution. In the main office they see Heiderin and his team up to something, so the guards are sent to get them. Whilst Terry battles Rachel, he gets distracted momentarily and is knocked off his feet, eventually being reunited with Joe as they're tasked with facing the two female fighters at the same time. Yuri gets the advantage at first, as does Rachel, and when Joe fights back he is soon knocked down again, followed by Terry. They rise back to their feet, confused about how they have so much power, and then summon their own special techniques to regain momentum in the fight, but the girls feel no effect and keep coming forward, finally putting Terry and Joe down for good. One of the snake statues are exalting strange blue beams of radiation. Andy and Mike continue to fight as he grabs hold of her, begging her to cut it out. Athena guides Kyo and his team, and they come to a stop as she says that the danger is right ahead of them. Kyo uses his fire to break open another vent and make his way in, discovering the gear room in which Rio and Robert are hidden behind a fan on the wall. Benny is confused about why they look so angry, and Kyo impatiently says they have been corrupted. Robert sends a blast through the fan, causing Benny to almost be fatally struck, and then they engage in a fight where Benny momentarily wins. However, it is short-lived as Robert gets back up. Kyo tells Daimon to destroy the statue, and then Benny, who is filled with rage, reinitiates his fight with Robert, but his power is otherworldly, so Kyo has to join in the fight too. But Benny is determined to beat Robert alone, so Kyo fights with Rio instead, and the fights occur simultaneously with Kyo being too good for Rio. Daimon summons all of this strength and strikes the ground, causing the statue to start to malfunction and the blue radiation to stop being released into the air. Kyo finishes the job as the statue explodes, and Yuri and Rachel are released from their enslavement via the black crystals. All the paths begin to open up, and Terry notices how strange it all is. The last of the cubes open, revealing Andy and Mai. Joe is ecstatic that he is still alive, and then Kyo and his team also join the gathering. Terry thanks them, and explains that Heiderin is heading to the bridge, so without wasting time, Kyo plans to go up on the ship. Benny is reluctant to stay behind, but Kyo convinces him, and he finally admits that his current ability isn't up to scratch to keep up. Just as Kyo goes to leave, Terry stops him and says he is also coming, so the two best fighters make their way to the deck. Clark uses a password decryptor to open a door, but they are immediately halted by armed guards. Rugel's assistant reminds him of what the plan is, but he doesn't go along with it, his anger boiling as he stands up and slowly approaches her, intensely explaining that he just needs to feed energy into his Orochi blood, which would make him the strongest person in the world. He leaves the office, giving her an opportunity to go into a secret room with a conniving look on her face. The guards hold Heiderin and his team in place, and he suddenly sets off his device, which immediately incapacitates them, resulting in them being demolished as Heiderin showcases his spectacular skills. They approach another door with caution, using a flash bomb to bewilder the remaining guards. Terry and Kyo eagerly await the elevator, getting off and opening a grand door which leads them to Rugel sitting on a throne. They mock him, lighting a fire of rage inside of him, leading to the statues moving and the lights suddenly turning on, and they notice the horrific nature of his statues, but he explains that they're most beautiful pieces of art in the world. He says they will become akin to the statues very soon as he leaps closer to them, and then forms a power from his hand, sending it towards them as Terry notices that Rugel has gained Gisa's abilities. He sends another attack, but they relentlessly come rushing at him, so he uses his dark barrier attack to keep them at bay. The crystal disappears as he proceeds to edge closer towards them. The crystal heads through a tube and is placed mysteriously secured inside of a briefcase. There are piles of the guards' bodies inside the control room, where Heiderin and his team are, and they conclude that they have enough evidence to be able to arrest Rugel. Heiderin commands them to activate every security camera, and to contact their headquarters for reinforcements. Kyo and Terry continue battling Rugel, but their efforts are thwarted, and one of the heads of the statues fall onto the floor. He methodically approaches them and steps on the head, causing Terry to shout at him and call him crazy, but Rugel doesn't waste any time talking, sending more attacks their way. Kyo tries to strike him, as does Terry, but his reflexes are on full display as he effortlessly dodges them. They switch their combat to more kick-focused. However, he is even able to dodge each one of their kicks, but their power moves are able to make a dent in his defense. He is visibly enraged by this, and Terry's rising attack is countered as he pins him, then carrying him around like a ragdoll and sending him flying. Kyo gets the same treatment, and then Rugal starts generating immense power to awaken the Emperor of Darkness, and the sheer energy alone is enough to make them shudder in pain. He sends a huge attack towards them, but it doesn't hit Kyo or Terry, but instead hits Heiderin, who jumped in the way to save them. Heiderin goes on a passionate rant, but Rugal gets him in a tight grasp, as well as Kyo and Terry, who are rendered paralyzed. He says he will finish them with their own moves, and chooses to start with Heiderin, brutally striking him. Next he kicks Terry powerfully, leaving Kyo for last. Despite the danger, Kyo continues to mock him, and just as he goes to strike, he is hit by Mai, who has brought a few of the other fighters to help out. Kyo is released from Rugal's grasp, and they notice what he has done to Terry. Benny wastes no time as he throws strikes at Rugal, but his aggressiveness leads to him being throttled as he is easily defeated. Kyo and Benny argue, and Rugal tries to strike them, but Yuri and Mai combine powers to attack before Athena uses her power to defend them from Rugal's counter-strike. He is shocked by the strength of Athena's attacks, and their combined efforts prove to be a nightmare for him to defend against. Kyo rises from the midst of smoke to attack him, and whilst he is mockingly laughing, he is attacked by Benny, who electrocutes him. All of the fighters unite their power in one attack, which sends him backwards, causing the walls to fall down and Rugal to lay seemingly defeated. They go to walk out, but the door is once again barricaded, and their enemy rises up again, stabbing the power of Orochi into his heart, which awakens even more power within his body. He sends a blast through the room and everyone rushes forward to stop, but they're quickly sent flying back. His power only increases, and he is even able to teleport, realizing that something is missing, but Kyo tells him to focus on the fight, so Rugal viciously strikes him, knocking him down and out. Just as it looks like Kyo will die, he dreams of Benny telling him to get up, followed by Daimon, who says the same, and then Athena. Just as Rugal unleashes a smug laugh, Terry arises and tells him to bring it. All the other fighters get up too, and Kyo dreams of himself telling him to get up. Kyo grabs Rugal and says he isn't finished yet, so he goes to attack, but Kyo blocks it, and their power punches meet in the middle, which stuns them and send them backwards. Kyo says that Rugal has helped him gain a new power, but he says he has acquired the power of a god, and then Kyo uses his fire power to engage in a collision with him. Following this, they continue the fight with punches and kicks, Kyo showing much improved combat ability. Rugal sends another wave of power at him, but Kyo can defend against it, and with all his might he strikes Rugal with the full power of fire. He is furious, but this anger leads to him being more susceptible to strikes, and Kyo puts together deadly strikes before hitting him with another attack powered by fire, sending him flying through the door, and his appearance of death is once again deceitful as his fingers twitch. And then not long after, he has a detonator in his hands. Heiderin notices this first and alerts everyone of the danger, so everyone runs away, but he sets it off, causing a huge explosion which affects the entire ship as they jump off. Morning comes and they are all riding back home on smaller boats. Everyone is relieved that the whole ordeal is finally over, and Benny says he is very tired, whilst Kyo says that he did most of the work, which causes another friendly argument where Benny continues to hold the opinion that they would have lost without him. We see that Rugal has been placed in a lab in Mexico where his so-called assistant and another man discuss Rugal's attempts to defeat the fighters. He says that Rugal did well, however he is just a pawn, and the true god of power is still out there. And then he touches a crystal to come into contact with that god of power, asking him to feast on Rugal's power. In Tokyo, someone is playing guitar until they fall down in pain, and the blood-red moon shines bright as a man stands on a rooftop possessing power as he says that he will put an end to things once and for all. But that's where this video ends. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.